Well, how do there, chums? 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, I want to speak about something a little bit different. I want to speak about the World Economic Forum. Yes, if you haven't heard of the World Economic Forum, they gather once a year at Davos. Anyway, their logo, it seems to me that each of the O's is dissected by what looks like another circle or an eclipse type ring that makes each of the actual O's in each of the words look like a 6. You got 3 of them, 666. Where does that number feature? The mark of the beast. So I did mention the circle that dissects each of these O's looks like an eclipse ring. There is a full-on solar eclipse happening this year. They don't happen all too often. It's quite a special event, and as we know, these globalists seem to like their numerology and symbology, and also lunar occurrences. So the best vantage point, or to see this eclipse, is southern Illinois in the USA, also known as Mini Egypt. As you know, Mini Egypt is steeped in symbology, mythology, allegory, and all that lovely stuff that the globalists also like. So you're probably thinking at this point, well, just get to the point. What about all of this sort of stuff? Well, I'm wondering whether the date of the eclipse is something that we should be marking into our calendars for various reasons, not just the eclipse. Could it be that the World Economic Forum's plan for a great reset is going to start or culminate around this date? I mean, I'm not making any solid predictions here. I'm just throwing out that the eclipse is happening this year, and the World Economic Forum's symbol or logo seems to accompany eclipse with 666. I feel there could be some relevance in that. So something that I like to look at each year is the front cover of the Economist magazine, as it sort of is also steeped in symbology, allegory and all that sort of shenanigans. And this year's cover is very red and blue. I think that could be to do with the electoral system, the red and blue states. So at the top of the cover of this year's Economist magazine, you can see there's Putin and also Zelensky, so the war in Ukraine is going to continue on. But there's also an egg timer, time is perhaps running out. But then below it is the election box. So does that mean the election is going to weigh heavy on the war or the opposite way around? It's very hard to tell. Will there be Russian interference? Will the war actually have a different sort of slant on the election? But then next to the election box, funny enough, is also what looks like Big Brother and AI. And to the opposite side is like the economy taking a freaking nosedive. Now what's interesting though is above all of this, you've got what looks like an eclipse sort of cycle. You can see there, it's the eclipse. And below it is like a red and blue sort of circles overlapping. Now at first I thought maybe this might be the elections, but what if it's red and blue light? What if it's got something to do with holograms? And we all know that there is some sort of theory out there to do with holograms, of the bringing of an alien invasion or the second coming of Christ. And then below all of that you've got Biden versus Xi Jinping of China. And we all know that the South China Sea right now is a very big point of contention. So there's quite a lot to actually discern from all of this, isn't there, really? Now this front cover of the Economist magazine came out way before the actual year started, before January. Yet the whole thing in Davos and the World Economic Forum happened after the Economist magazine cover was printed and published. But then when you look at the highlights from the World Economic Forum of this year, which I'm going to play to you right now, it's very much on point to what the actual magazine cover is covering. Take a listen and watch to this.
Join us all week for our exclusive interview in Davos.
The meeting of the World Economic Forum is underway at Davos.
Path forward in today's geopolitical and economic
advances in generative AI.
One of the key topics here in Davos this year.
This time is about rebuilding trust.
Geopolitical divides are preventing us from coming together around global solutions for global challenges. People everywhere are losing faith in governments, institutions, and financial and economic systems.
We have seen a dangerous divergence, richer countries doing much better than poor countries. This divergence matters not only to the people impacted, it matters to all of us because it undermines global security.
Poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. We cannot think of eradicating poverty without caring about climate, healthcare, food insecurity, and fragility.
We all need to have the ability of dealing with all of these issues at the same time because we don't have a choice.
The hottest year on record was last year. We really are turning our planet into something that's being destroyed by the minute.
Developed world must do more. They are talking a lot, they're acting less.
Los 100,000 millones de dólares de París ya no son nada. La cantidad que se necesita cada año es 30 veces superior.
There is a strong dependence to fossil base that we cannot simply ignore. Then the investments need to be for the future, for green energy.
Only 1 in 8 people actually have 1 or more green skills. We need to figure out a way to reskill millions of people.
At the speed at which things are going, everybody needs training, the frontline workers as well as the white-collar workers.
While governments hold many of the levers to deal with the great challenges of our time, business have the innovation, the technology, the talents to deliver the solutions we need.
AI has been somewhat demystified because people really use it now. And that's, I think, always the best way to pull the world forward with a new technology.
We've never had a broad general-purpose technology that diffused to all corners of the globe and created abundance equally. We have a shot at it.
It has lots of dark sides to it as well. We have over 70 major elections that are happening this year, and all of those can go the way the voters want, or AI can change that.
The power of AI must be managed. Once you build that solid foundation, you want to use it to reach for the stars.
AI could not have developed to the state that it has without collaboration.
过去几十年，经济全球化取得了巨大的进展，很大程度上还是得益于各国之间的相互信任。
We need to think of globalization differently, and we need to make sure that those who did not benefit during the first round benefit this time.
We need a new model for growth that is proactive, not reactive, that is about pre-distribution, not redistribution.
We have to rebuild trust, and most importantly, trust in each other.
It's important for us as leaders to create a culture where people feel like they belong, where they can bring their whole self.
Companies and economies are in a worse financial situation when they're not inclusive. The math has been done a million times.
Too often, young girls are withheld basic access to education and advancement that could spark a brighter future for all of us.
What are we leaving our children for the future? Are they going to inherit prosperity, or are they going to inherit conflicts?
That type of intergenerational responsibility is what has been lacking in the way that the world is being run, and we want to bring that spirit back.
The secret sauce is leadership. We're not in the audience, we're in the field. Sometimes we fail, but that's the only way we will resolve this.
Okay, so where am I going with all of this? I just want to put it out there that there's quite a lot of things that have been discussed inside of the World Economic Forum. And also the fact that they like their symbology and allegory and all that sort of hidden mysteries, that I think something may take place during the eclipse of this year, people. Or at least it might be the starting point or the catalyst for something to start happening. I would just mark it inside of your calendars that 2024 is going to be a very interesting year for globalization and the powers that be's sort of plans to come to fruition. So yeah, that's all I want to put out there, people. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit a like, hit a subscribe. Until next time, goodbye, and goodbye again.